Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. Hey guys, it's Adam here, and today I'm going to show you how to repair an Atari 5200 controller. But be warned, this really only applies to controllers that haven't been really abused. There are many different reasons an Atari 5200 controller can fail, and there's one reason in particular that's the most common, and that's what I'm going to address today. Now, if you guys remember, a while ago I did a video about cleaning up the entire console, but I didn't have a controller, and even if I did, it wouldn't matter because they usually don't work, as was the case with this one. Now, the deal with this was I was invited to check out a video game store in Chicago where I live called Titan Games, T-Y-T-O-N, and a guy who works there, his name is Noah, said, hey, come on down and check out our store. So I was like, sure, I got nothing else to do. So I went there, and he had one of these in stock, and I purchased it from the store. However, it did not function, as is the case with most 5200 controllers. Now, that's something to be expected, and so there's a simple method you can do to fix this, provided that it hasn't been like seriously abused. And I already went ahead and did it, and I'm proud to say that it does in fact work. But I'm going to show you what I did in kind of a quick step here. Now in the back you'll see there's 3 screws, so you just take a standard Phillips head screwdriver and go ahead and remove those. Once you remove the screws, it's time to take the controller apart, which is not the easiest thing to do. You might hear a lot of clicking and stuff that makes you think it's breaking, but it should be fine. I suggest kind of not putting a whole lot of pressure on this side, which you'll see why in a moment, but kind of focusing more down on the bottom here and getting this part apart. And the reason you don't want to put too much pressure on this part is there's actually a little piece of a circuit board that is feeding directly right here at this joint. So that's why you don't want to pull on that. You just want to gently pull this, and you'll see the little circuit board kind of come right out. And now you're going to take this away. Now over here you'll see there's a keypad. Okay, take that straight off. And right now, if you look at this green circuit board, you'll actually see this is the core of the problem. Now, why is this the problem, you might ask? Well, each thing here is obviously where the buttons are represented. So the way it works is that you've got this little pad, and it'll just make a connection with that. However, the problem with these particular boards, well, they're not even boards, they're like little pieces of plastic. The problem with them is that the metal here oxidizes over time. As a result, it no longer is able to make a connection with this. It can't detect that you're touching it, and therefore it does not work. So there's actually a really simple solution to this. All it involves is Windex, or window lean, as it's known in certain parts of the world. I know, you see this in every single one of these damn cleaning videos, but I'm telling you, it works really well. And just some cotton swabs, Q-tips, whatever you'd like to call them. So all you really do is you take a Q-tip, and you spray some window lean, or Windex, whatever you have, right there on there. And then all you gotta do is rub along here across the contacts, and it'll basically deoxidize it. It'll take off essentially what is, might as well just think of as dirt, and it'll come off on the Q-tip. And see, I already cleaned this one. It's already working, but I don't know how well it's going to show up there. But yeah, look at that. That's dirt, or oxidization that you're removing. So you want to go ahead and do that across all the buttons there to get those to work. And of course you're going to want to do it on these 3 here. But there's actually 2 additional ones. Well, yeah, you take this part off here, and you'll see there's 2 more right there. And you're going to want to do the same thing over here. You just slide these off, and there you go, do it again. Once you've got it sufficiently cleaned as far as you're concerned, of course you're going to want to go ahead and dry it as much as possible, and see if you can get any remaining little bits off. If you see like dust or anything inside there you feel like getting out, just use some compressed air, whatever, and blow it out. But pretty much that's all you have to do in most cases to get this thing running. So it's time to put it back together. There's the easy part, which is these. Make sure the little plastic part lines up. There's a little track for them that you can fit into place here on both sides, and that one's pretty easy. The hard part is actually the top, this thing. Now, the reason this is kind of a pain in the ass is you can't just, take this thing and slide it back in. I've tried, it doesn't work. What you have to do is, there's this piece of plastic on the top is removable, but it is a pain in the ass. So what you have to do, I find, and beware because this is kind of dangerous, there's probably better ways of doing it, but I was yet to find one. If you look underneath, you'll see in that little slot there, I know the camera's not really focusing on it, but there's a little slot there in between this little rubber part and the plastic exterior. You basically want to poke through there and try to get this piece to come off, which is easier said than done. And yeah, I'm going to do this off camera, but trust me, you kind of want to push it through and get this plastic piece to pop off. Now, sticking it through there like I showed you is one way. Alternatively, you could try to, you know, when it's on there, you can try to take your fingernails and just kind of spring it up, or use something to kind of wedge it open. Any way you do it, it's going to be a pain in the ass. Just prepare yourself for that. And just be careful, okay? Be careful. Don't stab yourself. We really don't need that to happen. But unfortunately, you do have to remove that to make this work. So the next step here, as you might have guessed, is that you're going to go ahead and slide this through. And trust me, that is a million times easier if you don't have the buttons in the way. So you slide them through like that, and just kind of get it like part of the way. Then it's just like a series of putting all this kind of crap together. You have to like lay the buttons down. And see this part here? You have to make sure that goes into this hole in the center. And it's all a matter of just kind of lining it up and making sure it's assembled correctly, and making sure that these parts here are on the right track so that it goes into place. And yeah, fundamentally, it's just a pain in the ass. But once you kind of fidget with enough and apply enough pressure, so you can already see the buttons are kind of off, but you know, I'll get them into place. But you're just going to want to kind of, you know, put it together. If you're having a lot of difficulty doing that, part of the reason might be that when you put this part upside down, the bottom part here kind of disassembles and goes off track. So unfortunately, you kind of have to like make sure this is in place and correctly working, and just, again, try to put it together. I know it's a pain in the ass. That's why I make these videos, so you guys can see how horrible this is before you even attempt it. So once you actually finally have stopped cursing out at the air and you've actually got the thing in place, you can do one of two things. You can either put the screws back in if you want, or more likely what you should do is take the padding here and put that in. Take your little top part, which is much easier to put back in than it is to take out. See, that's all it takes. And then do the other step, of course, which is either put the screws back in or do what I just showed you. And there you have it. It is back together and presumably fully functional. I do make one suggestion though. When you're at that phase where you're cleaning it and you're confident you're done, I highly recommend before putting it back together that you take it, leave it disassembled, leave the top off, go plug it into your 5200 and bring the little calculator pad part and kind of push those on a game to see if they're all working. And the same would go as you take that same pad and you put it on the little part that's up here and test those, because again, if you know it needs more cleaning, you don't want to have to disassemble it. So that's my kind of bug check suggestion. But once you're confident that that's done and you've put it all back together, I highly recommend you do what I'm about to do, which is take it and try it out. I've got the console all set up here with, of course, the controller. Really hard to fit in a frame, by the way. Now, the game I'm going to be using is Gamerade, and the reason I'm picking that one is because it's actually very good at being able to bug test the controller for you. So you go ahead and you take a look at the screen. Of course, the console's working. Now, you see there it says Game 1. Now, if you press the controller, you press like 2, you'll see that it says 2. 1 is 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It makes use of all those buttons. It does not use the 9, the 0, the pound, or the star / asterisk, whatever you like to call it. It doesn't use those. It does use the pause button, as you can see here, and most importantly, it uses the start button, as would be expected. It uses the triggers, and I'm going to crash immediately, I'm just warning you. So you see I shot a guy, the joystick's moving. Okay, I got a lot further than I expected to, considering I was playing with one hand. But you get the point. It did, in fact, help and restore the controller. I want to leave you guys with two final thoughts here. First is that there are people who are going to say, why didn't you use a pencil eraser? If you're not aware, that is an alternative. You don't have to use Windex and a Q-tip. You can do basically the exact same thing, take a pencil eraser and go over the oxidation and remove it that way. There are a lot of people that swear by that. I do not like that method. I actually bought a controller and wrecked it by doing that method, because the little metal threads on there can actually come off as well as the oxidation, and that's what happened to me. So therefore, it's totally bricked and useless. So with this one, I went to the tried and true Windex method, which seems to work for everything else. And as you saw, it did actually function. So that's what I recommend, but you're free to do as you like. The second point I want to leave you with is that this is a temporary solution. I mean really temporary, because you haven't actually solved the problem. The problem is that little green board is just very badly made. Over time it oxidizes, that's why it stops working. That is going to happen again. All you've done is remove the oxidation temporarily, and over time it will build up. And unfortunately, it's not even like a whole lot of time. It's not going to be years, it's going to be maybe months. So what it'll allow you to do is in the short term be able to play your 5200 instead of making it useless. But be aware you are going to have to go back in and do this every once in a while if you want to be able to play these things. So there you go. I hope that helps you in the short term. You can always come back to this video. It'll still be there to help you. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.